Hi, welcome to Beyond the Map, a podcast about travel, self-discovery, and the beauty found between destinations. I'm Francesca Page, and each week we'll explore the meaningful moments, mindful rituals, and hidden details that make every journey a little more human. Charlotte, so good to have you on Beyond the Map. We went to school together, what feels like 1,000 years ago. And I am very lucky to have kept in touch with you at this point, all the way back in the UK. So tell me a little bit about your company and how you got there. I, as a female entrepreneur, definitely support that journey. And I think it's awesome. And now you're a mum too. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh God, I don't know where to start with those two journeys. Two completely different journeys, running parallel. So let's start with the business. So I actually did law at uni and came out, and my mother obviously ran TLC. I don't know if you remember at school, but I would always come back to school and hand out catalogs to the teachers. It was running well before I was
Do
born.
you vaguely remember that?
They'll
Yeah.
buy the gear. They'll literally buy the gear. I bought some of your mum's leggings yesterday, and I'd be like, oh, that's nice. I never thought for a second that it would be part of my story and my journey and what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
So it's just very surreal, the whole thing. So I got into it. I did law. I kind of realized it wasn't where I wanted to be. I didn't feel the same urge I wanted to go to the bar, right? And I just looked at my competition and I thought, I don't want it as much as you. And
Yeah.
that's when I realized if I don't want it as much, I'm not going to do very well, am I? If I'm up against
Right.
this level of
Right.
competition, it's not something you go in half-heartedly with. So I
No.
kind of thought maybe I need to take a step back after I did my degree, went home. And that was when mum was kind of, steering the business on her own. We just gone through the whole kind of like the crash of 2007. There were huge contracts that had then run out. The business itself wasn't in the best position. Let's just put it that way by the time I got home. And I think she had had enough. I don't know how, running it now with her for the last 10, 15 years, I don't know how she did it on her own. I think it's like she deserves some kind of medal because the mental toll that it can take on you. Totally.
Yeah.
At least I can talk to her, right? And we can say, oh, how are we going to solve this? We've got this, that, we've got this, we've got that, and we can work through problems together. But my God, hats off to her. She bore that mental load totally alone with 5 children and separated. So I think, as time went on, I'm in awe of her. Anyway, so it was going through a difficult time. I wasn't sure what to do. I'd always believed in the business. I'd grown up with it. It was something that I wore the clothes myself, even at a young age. So I was a bit, don't give it up. I quite like it. Let's see what we can do. And it just started off, really casually. I'll give you 6 months, see what we can do, see what can happen here. And 15 years later, I'm still in the business. I still can't believe it. And yeah, it's going great guns. We are scaling. We're launching on retailers. We've just done a couple of celebrity collabs, which has been really fun. We've done live TV.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're really, really happy with how it's going. But as you can imagine, running a sportswear brand without investment in the UK right now isn't the easiest thing to do in the world.
Not by any stretch of the imagination, as I mentioned, and you're a new mum on top of all of that,
Yeah, that
which
definitely.
I can completely understand is very hard to juggle business and motherhood. Charlotte, are there any trends that you are specifically seeing in sportswear in the industry that you are currently in?
Where isn't there a trend from like the white socks to the logos to the caps to, there are trends going on all the time. It's impossible to keep up. I think probably the biggest and most impactful trend, which I really hope it's not a trend for us at the moment, is women are starting to pay attention to what they're actually wearing in terms of fabrics and fabric content.
Yes.
Chemicals.
I have heard that.
We've all, not naming any names, but we've all seen very large Canadian sportswear brands being put under the microscope with regards to PFAS in their leggings. And that was back in 2024, and manufacturing them and marketing their entire concept under wellness and women's wellness, especially. And like, that's what we are talking about it is how that doesn't marry up. Really think about it, think what you're doing. And the fact that they had all of the resources to create circular, sustainable leggings from fabrics that perhaps, hadn't been treated harshly or hadn't had forever chemicals in them. It wasn't difficult to do that. So I just found that really surprising. So what's happened now is because they've been put under the microscope, people are now thinking, well, what's in my leggings and what am I wearing? And are they natural fibers, and do they have forever chemicals in them, to the point where we've actually gone and taken it to our socials and to our emails to actually let our customers know what's in them. We manufacture with a viscose, which, although isn't completely circular, we're working towards it. We're looking at a tencel, but it is one of the better fibers to use because it comes from a wood pulp. So they're not wearing plastic in terms of polyester in that.
Right, right.
And we don't obviously put harsh chemicals and toxins into the leggings in order just to make them last longer. We don't use PFAS. And we've got all the certification for that. And that's something that we've been doing for years because that's the right thing to do, right? Not because it's a trend. And I think that's what's really disappointing with what's coming out now and what brands have been doing for years, taking advantage of women and taking advantage of that industry. And the smaller brands that actually we've been getting it right purely because I think, let's face it, we're two women running it. We're going to do what's right for women at the end of the day. So yeah, that's what we're seeing. Fortunately for us, we're well positioned in that respect anyway.
It's interesting because it in terms of trends, going back to this, it's like women have, especially mums, right? We're moving around constantly. I know for me, I'm in athletic gear way more than I would have expected to be at my age. But I mean, consistently, that's what's comfortable. It's what you get up and you have to move and groove and move around in. Where do you see that industry going? Like, where do you see the next, I guess, speaking of trends, the next trend to be in
I mean,
terms
I
of
don't
women's
see.
sportswear?
That's a really good question. I don't see it going anywhere for a very long time personally, because I think that we're all taking more care over ourselves. We're all exercising more. We're all trying to get outside more. We're all looking closer at what we eat and what we do. This biohacking and Instagram and the advice that we're bombarded with every day, I don't think that's going anywhere. And I don't think people are now waking up to their health choices. So I'll be very surprised if that regresses. So in terms of that activewear movement and wearing it all day, I don't think that's going anywhere. I think that's here to stay. It will just be the kinds of clothing that changes. Obviously, wide fit are now in. For me, in terms of doing exercise and high impact classes and however it is that you move, a wide leg trouser. I mean, leggings. I mean, I'm leggings till I die kind of girl. They will always be part of the wardrobe because you literally cannot go and do a run in a wide leg trouser. It's just not comfortable. It's annoying. Or if you cycle, for example, there's like a myriad of sports activities that require leggings. So I really don't see them going anywhere.
Okay, in terms of being a businesswoman, what are your thoughts on how AI and tech, I know it's a bit of a deeper delve, if you will, but impacting business?
The overall business.
Yeah.
I think the issue in our industry, I mean, it's impacting the back end and front end of a number of different sectors, right? But I think for the fashion sector, in particular, the retail sector, from a consumer level, is the
Yes.
amount of deception that's going on in terms of the models that are being used. I think that's something that we've got to talk about at CRC because we are very much for all women, representing real women. We don't Photoshop our images. We try to create a holistic and safe space for our customers to shop with
Mhm.
messaging that's supportive and real and honest. And photoshopping images and editing fake before and afters aren't really what we're about. You know, we let the product
Right.
speak for itself. So I think companies that are using AI models, AI editing, AI upscaling of images and things like that are essential. I think that's where it's going. And I think it's essentially detrimental to what what women need. I think we need to see more of what ourselves, and we need to connect more with brands, and we need to feel more of a personal ideology, if you see what I'm saying. We
Yeah.
kind of feel something. And I think AI is taking us back from that. So although it's really useful, like I love it, but there are elements.
Yeah, it's like a catch-22, isn't it? Because it's useful as a tool, but it also, like, takes away from the real relatability that I think as women, especially, I'm not gonna give away our ages, but in our age group, we need to be able to be like, "Listen, I know what you're going through, and this is a real situation, and this is real life," and I think that's kind of it's a little scary. I mean, as long as it's used correctly, my opinion on it is it's fine, but used incorrectly, it can definitely
It's
be
dangerous.
detrimental.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
dangerous.
absolutely, and, I have a daughter now, and I am terrified for what that
Absolutely.
looks
Let's
like.
have a phone.
Yeah, 100%. Charlotte, another question. On this journey that you've had, what has been like the biggest challenge that you've had to face?
I think, there have been so many, the instability. We manufacture in the Middle East and some of the instability there.
Yeah, yeah, there's that.
I think one of the biggest challenges was obviously when sportswear blew up, about 10 years ago. I don't know if you guys obviously, Gymshark. It just kind of that whole barrier to entry just went like this, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, the competitors that were, like, dropping by the wayside, new ones were coming up, and it became really difficult for us to keep up, and I
Yeah.
often felt like, "Oh, wow, there's another sportswear company, and they're doing that, and they're doing this, and maybe we should do that, and maybe we should do
Mm.
this." For a year or 2, I felt like a rat drowning underwater until I realized, "Hold on, just do what you're doing, right? Because TLC does
Right.
look you out. You don't need to try to, you know, emanate this or, recreate that." Just once I realized that actually I'm gonna stand firm and just stick to what we know best and what we do and set ourselves up as a competition, it started to become easier to get that traction. But there was a time where it really shook me. And in terms of the direction of the business, it kind of unsteadied the foundations under my feet.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the interesting part of this is, and especially with even starting this podcast, is I'm kind of having to relearn everything. Like, we didn't grow up with social media. We
Not
didn't
like this.
grow up with none of that existed. The marketing and my background was prior to being in journalism was also in PR. And it
Yeah.
was like none of that existed from a
It was
marketing
simple.
standpoint.
Yeah. Life was
It,
simple.
life was very simple. Like, I wrote an article, it got into a newspaper. Now it's like marketing any brand, even marketing yourself, which is part of marketing your
Mm.
brand, obviously, right? Has become tough.
Yeah.
And I say tough just because you're competing against, with all due respect, a generation that like
Yeah.
totally gets it and having to relearn we didn't grow up with at all.
And
And
it's
I
also
think,
the access. It's not like
yeah,
that access, it's just there. So, I mean, it sounds terrible, but I suppose in those days, there might be people that had really great ideas and they would have been brilliant at this, but they didn't have the access, they didn't know what to do, and there wasn't like Shopify that could easily just launch their store. So it kind of removed all of that noise. Whereas now, the barriers to entry are so low that the space has become so busy, it's almost impossible to try to stand out because that's what everyone's trying to do.
do you feel equally, as I've just mentioned, that like you've had to, I don't want to say relearn, I mean, learn new in the development of the business in terms of how to market it and brand it and all of that?
Yeah, when we were younger, it was always all very sleek, clean, professional, catalog based. I mean, the idea of putting myself and my mum on camera and posting that to Instagram was alien. What this is not
Yeah.
about us. This is product based. Shoot it on a model, then the model can talk about it. Whereas now, it's 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 almost gone backwards in the sense that people just want real, handheld, relatable content, and also like the ads that I put out there, they're very, I wouldn't say unprofessional, but they're very kind of like home style, and they're the
Mhm.
ones people are engaging with the most. So for us, I've had to learn, it doesn't always need to look perfect. It doesn't need to be sleek and totally professional. You can actually just be yourself. And having that confidence to do that takes, it's a real jump from what I would normally do, because typically that would be something that I wouldn't touch with a barge pole.
Do you think being a mom has kind of like leveled you in the sense of how you approach the business?
100%. I don't care anymore. I don't know if you found it. I don't care anymore. I don't care
Isn't
if I look
that
ugly.
funny?
I don't care if I look fat. I'm going on camera and I'm talking about the leggings, and that's just it. Whereas before, I don't suppose I would have had that confidence. But I think once you have a child, it does put everything into perspective.
It
And
does, yeah.
those insecurities that you had before, you just think, oh, really? Does it matter? Does it really matter?
No, it doesn't. What are you the most excited about with the business though and growing it? Like in the trajectory, I know this is again a bit of a loaded question, but in the next 10 years, what are you the most excited about?
Oh, that is a really, really good question. I think for us personally, I'm excited about kind of forging a new path. I'm excited about people actually standing up and noticing that there are smaller female-led brands out there doing something different. And I'm
Awesome.
excited about people noticing us and realizing that. So I think at TLC, we've got a lot of strings to our bow in terms of what we do for women. And one of them is we actually invite our customers and real women onto our campaigns, and we photograph them and really release those images. They're on our website, and we don't Photoshop them, and we celebrate them as they are, and we have just such a fun time doing it. So we recently emanated that campaign with a celebrity. I don't know if you've heard of Gemma Collins, but she's quite big in the UK. So just having fun with celebrating women, I just want to see that grow and grow and grow and just really make a brand that just really makes a difference, really makes a difference to how women feel. And not just because they can see themselves through the artwork, but because they can come and be part of our community and feel it. So I've got lots of plans to grow that community and bring our customers together. And if that all comes off, I just think it'll be something that Mum and I can be so proud of because it's not just sportswear, it's actually changing lives.
So, Charlotte, in terms of your supply, have there been any major challenges you've had to overcome?
I mean, we manufacture for ourselves, so as you can imagine, it's kind of like two businesses in one. We've got a factory out in Cairo where we manufacture all of our leggings and all of our clothes. We have our fabrics made bespoke, so we go as far to actually develop and innovate our own fabrics to ensure the fits are how we want. So in terms of managing that from a completely different country, I mean, Egypt is up and coming. It's doing great, but essentially, it is a very, very difficult country to work in as a woman, especially.
Yeah.
And it's inconsistent, it's difficult, and when you try to what we create is outside of the norm, it's not just a standard organic cotton lycra. We're working with materials that haven't been manufactured before, that's why we're making them ourselves, and so the inconsistency in the fabrics and the rolls that you get out there, it's just a nightmare to navigate the fabrics to make sure that they're dyed correctly and the yarn is the same, and women know when they wear our products how they feel because they come back and buy another pair, and if they're not exactly the same, they will tell us. And it will tell us very, very quickly. So for us, it's got to be exactly perfect. It's got to be so consistent. And I think that's not something that they're used to, that standard, especially across the weight of the fabrics that we're working with. They're much heavier than normal fabric. So that's been a challenge. Working through the Arab Spring in 2012, I believe it was, when they overthrew the government. Huge challenge. I mean, there were nights where we couldn't leave the factory because we were literally in a war zone. There was fires going on, shouting, screaming, chants. I wouldn't say riots, borderline riots outside the factory.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tough.
It's just not ideal working in an environment that's that unsettled, but we push through. Uh, I think all supply globally have had issues and looking at the
Yeah.
tech, it's difficult. But for us, consistency has been one of our biggest struggles, and it's been something that we've worked through, but the problem will never go away because you've got to constantly keep on top of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other topic with tariffs and everything. And I think I've mentioned to you, my partner works in trade compliance, and it's been a very interesting few months with all of that.
I'll be honest with you at the moment.
Okay.
America is obviously that's where I'd like to go eventually, but I wouldn't step foot there until I felt like I'd made it here. And I just think there's far more potential here. And I know that given the way our team is, I need to focus on that before I start trying to take over the States. So at the moment, I'm just trying to ignore the fact that you guys exist. We have got clients in the States, but in order for it to work, I'd have to set up a warehouse over there.
Yeah. And this is, it's a tough time right now. It's
Yeah.
a really tough time right now. Listen, thank you so much for coming on today. Big kiss. And please come on again. I'm excited to see how your journey goes in terms of growing this business. And it's been too long.
I know, absolutely. Chess, thank you so much for having me. It's great to catch up.
All
Next
right. Thank you,
one.
sweetheart.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Map. And if today's episode brought a little inspiration to your travels or just reminded you to slow down and savor the small things, I'd love for you to follow the show and leave a quick review. Until then, keep packing light, living deeply, and discovering the beauty that exists beyond the map.